Moving on, though. De La Hoya would take Canelo to Saudi Arabia per Manuk Akwapayan of obviously LA Times and Boxing Scene. And I gotta say, De La Hoya said if he was offered a sizable fee, much like Matchroom had Eddie Hearns scored in Saudi Arabia to stage a fight with Alvarez or any of his world champions, he'd absolutely take the fight there. I gotta say, I really don't like the idea of obviously sports washing a nation that is currently involved with genocide and massive human rights abuses within its borders. I don't care for that. Obviously, it's like you guys know I don't like covering even like the fight coming up tomorrow in a way because of what it is, what effectively it is doing. Whether it wants to do it or not, it is doing it. Canelo Alvarez is a guy that largely has obviously fought in Vegas, fought in MSG once, fought in Texas a bunch of times. I don't understand why you're taking him to Saudi Arabia against you get a huge site fee, as Oscar says. And to me, with AJ going to Saudi Arabia, at least the silver lining in it, in a weird way, guys, for you UK fans, it's a way better time slot for you guys. It's prime time for you, even though it's not in the UK. There's a kind of a benefit to that, at least. With Canelo going to Saudi Arabia, it just hurts his fan base significantly so. I think all it does is just probably fatten the pockets of Oscar, maybe Canelo, but even then he gets more of a flat guarantee now. Like, there's no real upside for him, from my understanding, in his contract, at least from what we know. So I don't understand how you can get an extra $75 million per like what we've heard from AJ. I don't get that. I think it would more that money would go to Oscar or to Zone. I feel like Canelo, there should be a time where he goes, no. I don't want to do this. I want to see the books. How are you getting this money? How am I going to get it? I don't understand why Canelo would even want this. It just goes against kind of his fan base, even more so than AJ's. Because at least AJ's fan base, they get the benefit of watching it prime time for them instead of 4 a.m. like the first Ruiz fight. It's just weird promoting, obviously. And we did a show maybe early this week or last week, and I cut the video up, so there's a clip out on our boxing playlist about me and Gary talking about promoting, and off of Bob Arum talking about taking Terence Crawford to South Africa, and talking about taking Beterbiev and Vajic and that fight in Philly and that failing. The idea of, as a promoter, how do you place a fight? Like, where do you set a location for a fight? Is it off of just a site fee? Is it finding its natural demographics where just the most fans are going to be? Certain things like that. Is it to appease a network or a TV company? Like, certain things like that promoters think of, and I think they usually get the wrong pick. Like, look at Jose Ramirez, Victor Postal. That fight is clearly just to get a money grab in China, when that fight makes no sense there. Canelo, let's say Canelo versus, I don't know, Billy Joe Saunders. Or Canelo versus Callum Smith, Triple G, any of those fights. Like, that in Saudi Arabia makes no sense because Canelo's the guy, and it's taking him far away from his fan base. Anyways, just it makes no sense. Besides the whole sports washing, a whole genocidal nation part. Eddie Hearn has this to say, and I really had just a brief comment about it because I feel like people get a misunderstanding about this. Eddie Hearn saying no journalist, media outlet can tell a fighter where to earn, obviously in regards to taking AJ to Saudi Arabia. And that getting, sort of blasted by media. Amnesty International sent letters to AJ telling him not to do it. I will say this. Obviously, Amnesty International, I would not say is a journalist or media per se. They're more of just an organization. Just to be honest, like, they're more of an activist organization. It's a little bit different when Eddie's, I think, referring to them telling a fighter where to go. I don't think there's really actual media out there saying that AJ can't do this or he shouldn't be allowed to do this, so to speak. And I want to make, I think, as the snowflake SJW of boxing, let's just be honest, this is the distinction I want to make here. AJ and any fighter, Canelo, obviously just talking about him, he has every right to go to any sort of authoritative regime, country, state, and collect a check. He has every right to do that. There's no one stopping him to do that. I mean, we do live in especially me specifically, I live in a country where Ford and GM and IBM worked with Nazi Germany. So corporations and business working beyond like morality isn't anything new. It isn't anything that's been outlawed. Though, in my opinion, maybe it should be, but that's a totally different point. AJ and just fighters as a whole, when we are out there, and me speaking as those people that are sort of criticize promoters taking fights to countries to sports wash atrocities, we are just merely pointing out that that's what it's doing. I don't think I or anyone out there really said, Eddie, AJ, you can't do this. You're not allowed to do this. And even maybe to a degree, like, you shouldn't do this. I don't think we've really said that, to be honest. I think we've mainly said, hey, when the actual country that is funding genocide, now funding a prize fight, that is to an effect sports washing the genocide. That's what it's doing. It's a de facto propaganda, commercial advertising to other countries that, hey, we're normal, we have sports like you, even though we do all these other things. Okay? And obviously, I mean, there's parallels of it in the U.S. Like, we have national anthems, usually we have some sort of military presence at, NFL games, especially, or MLB games. We have the flyovers by military jets. Like, this is a thing that is common, that nations propagandize sports through sports to sort of hide away the atrocities the military is conducting. Eddie saying, I think you're a bit off on the genocide thing. No, I'm not. Eddie, no. Look, dude, if you don't, just type in Yemen genocide, guys. Like, hold on. You know what? I got time today. Now, you guys see these pictures. Again, I got time. You want this link here, Eddie? Here you go. It's in the chat. I mean, it is a literal genocide. This is genocide. This is what Saudi Arabia is doing right now. The same government that is paying Eddie Hearn and Matchroom to have a fight there is also dropping bombs, starving an entire ethnic group. Okay? So I don't understand how you, as a human being, can look at these pictures, look at them, and tell me that you want to take money from them. Okay? How can you do this as a human fucking being? Please tell me. Please. Okay? I mean, you want to just look up the definition of genocide? We can do that right now. I got time. The deliberate killing of a large group of people, especially those of a particular ethnic group or nation. That is definitionally what Saudi Arabia is doing. They have blockaded, they have bombed, they have systemically gone after the Yemeni people. Okay? I just don't understand how you can argue otherwise. And Metal Box saying, are you telling us to boycott the fight? No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying be aware of what you're watching. Be aware of the propaganda that's in front of your eyes. Okay? That's all I'm saying. To bring it back to my point, I'm not telling you or others, don't do this, don't do that. I'm just merely bringing awareness that this is what it is. You may have a response to do X, Y, and Z, but that's not what I'm telling you to do. Okay? That's not what I'm telling you to do. I'm telling you just to be aware that this is the actual 1 + 1 = 2 effect of what you see. That the Saudi Arabia government that is bombing churches, schools, hospitals as we speak with US and UK made bombs. Okay? That same government is also paying for fights like the World Boxing Super Series to come. Okay? It's paying, obviously, for AJ Ruiz. Similar country like the UAE, who's also involved with this genocide in Yemen, also paid for, obviously, the UFC to come there. Both states have slave labor as well. I mean, I don't know the way to phrase it. Like, they literally have slave labor. Am I, like, you want me to look? I can look that up too if you guys want. Here. I actually did a whole thread about this. Hold on. Let me find the thread. Because this way, guys, I can just show you all the links. So much easier. So much easier, guys. Sorry about this. Finding it now. Sorry. It's going to take me a second. But it's worth it because it just has all the links. And it's just so much easier. Here we go. Okay. These are all the links you guys need when it comes to the topic of sports washing, what's happening in Saudi Arabia right now. Here's the thread. It's in the live chat if you guys all want the links. But also just greater issues of the Middle East right now in terms of combat sports and what's happening with it. But like, read this article. Okay? There you go. Please, like, just educate you guys. Like, that's all I'm asking. I'm not asking you to boycott. I'm not asking you to do whatever. Just be educated. Be aware of what you're watching and what its desired effect is. That is all. And guys, we all participate in societies that have oppressive natures, oppressive systems, racist systems as well. Because we live within those systems does not mean we're automatically complicit in those systems, right? It's only when you are actively saying, hey, those issues aren't real or they don't matter, that then you become complicit in those issues. You know? Like, it's the old thing like, oh, you have an iPhone, you can never talk about sweatshops. It's like, well, the entire industry of Western civilizations run off smartphones. Everyone has a smartphone. Every smartphone's produced in third world countries or countries that have limited labor laws and regulations. And that doesn't mean we're in favor of that. We just happen to live within a society that has this oppressive sort of apparatus. And to call it out is not to be hypocritical. To call it out is what you need to do, because that's how the system changes. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like this is pretty obvious. Glasgow, Blue Box fan saying, why didn't I get a notification for this stream? I missed most of it now. Sorry, rewind it. I'd obviously talk about Dylan White more so and way earlier, but definitely just make sure that notification bell's hit. I think it's only like 19% of you guys have the notification bell hit at all, and only like a third of you guys watching are even subscribed. So hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, all that fun stuff. PC gamers saying you can't save the world, bro. I'm not saying you can save the world. I'm just saying be aware. Again, I feel like this is a pretty simple thing I'm saying. Like, just be educated on information. Eddie saying, we know this, but engagement is better. I don't know what you're talking about in regards. Well, they're good. Comments in the chat. Let me see. Chase making great points. Smash the like, guys. Yes. Do that. Do that. Heavy D saying, you're getting too political, bro. Sorry. These are my opinions. I mean, I think you guys are pretty aware I'm a huge leftist. So just be aware of this. And when we're talking about issues that bleed over to a social-political sphere, then, of course, I'm going to bring my worldview into it. Like, that's just how punditry works. It's my opinions and my expertise on matters. Sorry. If you guys don't like it, that's fine. I mean, again, we did a ton of shows this week. If you guys didn't check them all out, didn't finish one, ton of news on them. Check them out. Plus, we're going to get to some news. Jonathan Fitch making a great point. Matt for president. Fuck no, though. That would be a shit-ass job. Awful. What else do we have here? Craig making a great point. You see the same kind of pictures from the U.S. sanctions on Iraq when babies couldn't get enough milk powder. Absolutely, Craig. That's why, George Bush, Dick Cheney, Colin Powell, Condoleezza Rice, who else? Anyone in the Bush administration should be brought up on war crimes. Like, that's my opinion. You guys, hey, if you guys want to play the what about game, I guarantee you, I'll be like, yeah, they're awful too. Like, this is nothing new. What else? What else do we do? Mailbox saying, did Tyson Fury golf World Boxing Super Series Formula 1 sports wash? Yes, they did. And they did get called out. Here's the article in The Guardian by Kareem Zant. And this is more about U.S. sports, but I think they do bring up Formula 1 in some aspect. But this is more about WWE and more of a U.S. sports. But here, check it out. Definitely, again, guys, read, be educated on this issue. I think it's really important. And I'm definitely going to have to put all these links in the description now, just to make sure that everyone can find them after the fact. But moving on, let's get to